can contribute for that. So that is the structure we are going to follow. So I like to introduce one of our today's guest, who is having a vast experience in Indian fertilizer industry. He served different organizations in India, and he have been a part and dominating professionals in fertilizer industry in India. He is Dilip Kumar Singh. He is serving fertilizer industry from past 20 to 30 years. So today we are going to hear his thought process about how we can just acclimatize, or how we can just take this value addition fertilizer as a next stage. So he's going to share his experience, and then I invite our Dr. T.T. Lope to introduce two of our eminent professor of Nigerian universities, who are going to share their thought on the development, on the prospects of Nigerian agriculture development. Over to TT.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for giving the well-detailed opening speech and introducing the purpose of the program. I would like to introduce two eminent professors that will be our guest speaker today. The first is Prof. Tuji Arukuyo. He's an eminent prof, a former president of Agricultural Extension Society of Nigeria. He finished from University of Wisconsin, United States. I checked University of Wisconsin on their rank. They are ranked 27th in the world, which was a very, very strong university. After Prof finished from there, he has been in Nigeria as a team leader, Agric Extension, Transformation Agenda. This was done with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, and currently is CEO of a company called Development Information and Service Providers, where they teach and train farmers on how to boost agricultural production. So the next eminent personality also that will also be speaking in this brainstorming session is Professor Bitrus Tafa. He is a well-known name in soil science in Nigeria. He's a specialist in soil fertility, professor of soil fertility. He has led so many projects. Example of the prominent project he's led is OFRA. OFRA is Optimizing Fertilizer Recommendation for Africa. He's the leader of the project. He led it in Nigeria here, and they made astonishing success. He has graduated several PhD students, several master students at ABU, Institute of Agricultural Research, and we hope we'll be able to tap from the wealth of experience of the two professors as the session progresses. So now I'll hand over back to Dr. Praveen for our program to continue. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Titi. I'll request to Mr. DK Singh, if he can just switch on his camera and everybody can see him. And then we'll move to Avijit. He is going to share that what we as an Indorama is contributing for the development of Nigerian agriculture. So yeah, Mr. DK Singh, if you can just switch on your camera. So yeah, you have to unmute yourself. So we welcome you. So
yeah, hi everyone.
That's great. That's great. So he's connected from India, and we are going to hear his experience from a fertilizer industry. So thank you, sir, for being a part of this discussion and this brainstorming session. Thank you. So we are going to Avijit. He's going to share about what Indorama is doing as for the development of Nigerian agriculture, because we have been here from a past few years, and we have been serving our customers and farmers to ensure the development. So over to Avijit.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Praveen. I have a small presentation to show, so if I can be made the host.
Yeah, you can share.
I can share it directly. Okay.
Yeah, you can share. No issue.
Is it showing in the drive or just 1 second? Sorry,
You haven't yet shared this screen.
just 1 second. Too many files open.
So yeah, meantime,
Oh, just one second.
yeah, it's still not there. So you just share your
Just
screen.
1 second.
Yeah, no issue. So meantime, I'll just something like talk a little more about the soil health. So we should not be something like stuck with any of these IT challenges. So if we talk about the soil health, it is really important for ensuring the sustainable agriculture development. So yeah, he's already
Is
there.
the screen showing?
Yes. So yeah, you
Good,
can
good.
continue and then
Sorry
we'll
for
just discuss. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good morning to the eminent scientists, professors from the field of agriculture and agri-input industry. On behalf of Indorama, I do welcome all for this brainstorming session and a little initiative from the part of Indorama that we are trying to pursue for the benefit of the agriculture in Nigeria. Indorama adopted a vision statement that is Indorama Fertilizers improving agriculture, improving lives. It's a very general kind of a statement, but we thought this is a very apt statement to go with. And we are living by this over last 5-6 years. And that is how we see agriculture, Indorama contribution to the agriculture, improving the lives of Nigerian farmers. A little bit of what Indorama is and how Indorama came into the fertilizer business. Indorama originated from Indonesia. They were initially in the business of fiber, spun yarns, fabrics, latex gloves, real estate. They were not initially not in fertilizers anyway. The fertilizer initiative from the Indorama group started in 2013 from Nigeria. So from this global map, you can see the countries Indorama is presently operating and the countries where they are in fertilizer at present. Indorama as a group came to Nigeria way back in 2006. And when they came to Nigeria, they came with a mind of doing something to do with fertilizer. And that was a time when disinvestment process was going on by the federal government. Many of the federal government companies, one we was already there in Port Harcourt, NAFCON, was almost closed. So federal government took the initiation to disinvest those assets and hand it over to the private bodies who can make these factories run again and the production to start again. But however, Indorama could not get the NAFCON at that point of time. But Indorama got a petrochemical factory, LMA Petrochemical. In 2006, they acquired the plant. They did a total turnaround maintenance, and within a very short period of 3 to 4 years, it made it profitable and stabilized the whole production of that plant. So having stabilized the production of a petrochemical, the next thought process went obviously for fertilizers, because that was always in the back of the mind of the top management, that we need to do something in fertilizers in Nigeria. And that was the reason we came here, all the way from Indonesia. In 2013, Indorama went ahead with this 1.5 billion USD urea project. And the groundbreaking ceremony was done in the year 2013. Indorama adopted the world's best technologies available at that point of time. Toyo was one of them. Who partnered with Indorama. They were also very new with that new technology, which they wanted to showcase first in Nigeria through Indorama partnership of the technology. So, and within the targeted time span in July 2016, the plant was in production. So the 1.5 million ton started production in July 2016, and since then till date, the plant is running excellently well. There has been very few shutdowns, mainly the shutdowns which we have taken over the last 4 to 5 years is the routine planned shutdowns for maintenance purpose only. Otherwise, the production has been very, very consistent. Having established ourselves in Nigeria, then we moved to Senegal and acquired the ICS phosphatic plant in Senegal with a 500,000 ton capacity over there. And there also we stabilize the operation and we ensure that the production goes on smoothly. Until date, the production of phosphatic fertilizers, DAP and other grades of NPK fertilizers are consistently being produced from that plant. Then we looked into India market. India market is one of the world's largest fertilizer market. And we are just after Brazil and after China and Brazil. We had an opportunity to take over the phosphatic plant from the Tata Chemicals, and thereafter having secured the phosphate asset in Haldia, that is the eastern part of India, which is again a 1 million ton capacity plant. We needed a nitrogenous fertilizer capacity also, and we were fairly successful in taking over Indo-Gulf very recently. So, and now Indorama is one of the major players in the northern part of India, the major Gangetic belt, which is very fertile and agriculture is very active, and now almost a dominant player in India now. We also took over SSP plant, old SSP plant in Uzbekistan, and same, we did a turnaround maintenance, and that plant has also started producing very recently, as we understand. So now, from the year 2013 to 2021, if you see, it's hardly 7-8 years, a very short span of time. We as a group is now quite big in fertilizer, and we are very serious about it. So that makes us, that showcases Indorama how serious we are in this agri-input business, mainly the fertilizer business. On the next slide, if we restrict ourselves to Nigeria, where our main focus is, Nigeria has always been a very potential country as far as agriculture is concerned. Way back in 1960s to 70s, when the oil boom happened and people started neglecting the agriculture, and people agriculture took a backseat because oil money was flowing and the revenue was generated majorly through oil exports, crude oil exports, and somehow the agriculture got neglected in that time, and it continued till lately in 2010, 2011. This agricultural transformation agenda was adopted under the leadership of a very eminent personality, Mr. Adesina, who is now the head of African Development Bank. At that point of time, he was the Minister for Agriculture. And he did set the ball rolling to the position that we are in today. Just to give a brief the land area, the arable land of 82 million, the total uncultivated land, the population the country has, which is one of the most populated country in Africa region, 7th largest population of the world, and very young population on an average. Most of the population, or almost 2/3 of the population, is directly or indirectly based or dependent on the agriculture. All these parameters are very inclined or very conducive for a good agricultural growth that can happen if we take the right step in the right direction. There were some challenges as the farm holdings were low. The majority of the staple food crops like rice and wheat were imported because not enough production was there in the country. So some efforts were needed in the right direction to ensure that Nigeria becomes a fully food sufficient country and nothing needs to be imported to feed the local population. Indorama joined hands with the government to ensure that this vision of the government is fulfilled. And we see a day that we don't need to import anything from outside to feed our population. But in doing so, we have seen some challenges, like in the input supply segment where the subsistence farming was there, the farm holdings were of a very small size. The access to high quality seed has always been a challenge. Then the cost of inputs, farm inputs were very high. There were hardly any access to farm credit. Security challenges were quite serious. And there was always a constraint of availability. Then on the production side also, the mechanization was very poor. The irrigation system which is in place was very less, hardly 5% of the total agri land is irrigated at present. Majority of the area due to lack of proper irrigation is a monocropping, and the farmers were still using the primitive practices, so there was no adaptation of new technology to increase the yield. And the fertilizer application was also on a very, very lower side. Then regarding the processing, there was very limited storage facilities. The availability of power to run the facilities were also not available. The high cost of processing equipment was always there. Inadequate skilled personnel were also adding to the issue. Limited number of processing companies were operating in the company. Whatever agriculture produce were there, were not able to store them, and the losses of those produce were very high. And apart from that, there were illegal food imports across the borders. Yep.
Sorry, Abhijit, we need to move a little fast because we have a very limited time. So can you
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Fine. I'll just move fine. So the imports from the neighboring countries came in as far as the food is concerned. Although the government took a decision not to restrict the food imports to help the farmers in the country growing the food, but still there were infiltration. Then the network of the roads were poor, the access to the markets were poor, and security challenges were also there. So in order to address the issues, Indorama in its own way did pursue the agronomy extension services all across the country to help the farmers to adapt new technologies and to do farming in a better way to increase their yield. So just to have a look at what Nigerian fertilizer sector was before Indorama came into production. Like if you see from 2012 to 2015, the country was majorly import dependent as far as urea was concerned. And imports were not timely. And most of the time what is to happen, the material is to arrive when the season was over. So there were a lot of carryover stock from the last year imports to the next year, and the availability was never consistent. So after Indorama came into production, there has been a fairly consistent availability of nitrogenous fertilizer urea for the Nigerian farmers to access and apply. So next, if you see the fertilizer uses in Nigeria, it's on a very on a lower side. From 2050 to 2020, 8 kg per kg of nutrient per hectare. It has improved to 22 kg of nutrient in 2020. There has been a substantial increase, but still a lot, much more improvement in this is required. It is on the world average, it is still on a very lower side. Like if you see Nigeria, it was around 12.36 at one point of time. It has increased to 22 now. But if you see the world average now, it's 140 kg of nutrient. We are far way behind to come to that point. And if we are able to reach at this consumption level of 140 kg, then the total requirement of fertilizer would be over 5 million tons to supply, to feed, to make it available to the farmers. So we see a very huge potential of growth in the fertilizer use in the country. Then when the Indorama came into production in 2016, we consistently increased our domestic supply, which was 213,000 metric tons in 2016, and till last year, 2020, the agro dealers, the urea that we sold directly to the agro dealers for the farmers, it was around 700,000 metric tons. So the increase in the supply has been quite substantial, and we also support the government PFI fertilizer, Presidential Fertilizer Initiative Program through NAIC, that is providing the raw material urea for the blending purpose. So that also we are consistently supporting the government initiative, and we are ensuring that the NPK fertilizers are also available to the farmers at a time of need. So this shows how committed we are in ensuring that the fertilizer needs of the country are supported by Indorama, both for the NPK blending units and for the direct application by the farmers. So Indorama, when we started in 2015, the distribution network, supply chain network was very poor. Like there was not enough private channels to support that kind of a volume. But that shows that from dealer network of agro dealer network of 70, we have increased to 500, over 500 now. So we are consistently evaluating our dealer network, adding more competent agro dealers who can spread the material to the nook and corner of the country. So that has been our consistent effort. So we want to make the fertilizer available at the farmer's doorstep, and we are consistently widening our network to each and every local government of the country, except for 4 states, that is the Yobe, Borno, and Gombe and Adamawa, where the national security agencies have restricted the movement of urea for security reasons. As far as the urea prices is concerned in the country, Nigeria is able to give the urea at the lowest price. We compare with other countries like Brazil, Senegal, Malawi, Mozambique, Niger. Since the fertilizer is being produced in the country, we are able to maintain a much lower price for the farmers. So it becomes much more affordable for them to procure and apply. And the farmers are also encouraged to apply the correct doses of this fertilizer for the increase of the yield. If you see the cropping pattern of the country, major crop is the corn, the maize, followed by rice and sorghum, where the fertilizer is being consumed. And the maize sets the stage for for all the agricultural activities. If the maize is doing good and the farmers are getting good returns out of this maize crop, the whole economy of the country is benefited out of that. It is one of the major crops the Nigerian farmers are growing. Fertilizer affordability is another major issue. Like fertilizer is an expensive product across the world. And with the increase in the crop prices, or majorly the maize prices during last year, this year till now, the affordability of the farmers to procure the fertilizers has also increased. So the farmers are now more encouraged to apply more adequate quantity of fertilizers in their farmland, which was again a challenge in the previous years where affordability would have been a major issue. On all that I've spoken now is on the supply side, how to have a seamless supply for our Nigerian farmers. Again, when we have established a considerable smooth supply side, we need to at the same point of time go for the demand generation. So both go hand to hand. So in order to ensure that the demand for the product, the urea fertilizer, is also increased, we have adopted various agronomy activities. We started from the soil testing to field demonstration, farmer meets, farm day training, individual farmer meeting, and radio and TV shows to reach to a larger audience. And through all these activities, we have almost reached more than 1 million farmers over the last 5 years of operation. So that has majorly contributed in the demand generation. The farmers are more equipped and trained to apply the fertilizer in the right doses, in the right time of application. And now they are more comfortable, or they are more convinced that the application of the fertilizer at the right dose and right time will give them a much higher expected yield. And to ensure that we have a team of almost 60 agronomists working all across the country. And these agronomists are regularly trained by our in-house, through our in-house training, and also to the international agencies through IFDC, GIZ, and others. So always they are always kept up to date on the various technology innovation, modern way of farming, and that goes percolates down to the farmers when they handhold them and disseminate the knowledge they acquired through these trainings that we organize for them. These are a few pictures where the first picture is where our agronomist is doing soil testing through the portable soil testing kits. Seeing is believing, and more convincing for any farmer. Soil test was one activity that really generated the interest of the farmers, and they were not aware initially when we started this soil testing campaign across Nigeria, when we procured these portable kits. And now they are much more educated. They understand the importance of application of the fertilizer due to nutrient mining. And now the farmers are more eager to apply the required doses, the recommended doses. The crop demonstration is another very, very useful methodology that we adopted all across the large farmer meeting through audio-visual techniques, which made them understand the process very easily. Then on the farm, on the crop demonstration plots, we organized the farm day where we celebrated the increase in the yield we received through the proper application of fertilizer. Then hand-holding individual farmers at the farmer's field. That is one very important activity that our agronomists carried out, which was much more convincing, and they believed in what we said and what we suggested or what we advised to them. And in order to reach to a larger mass audience, we adopted the radio talk on agriculture, on various crop, how you need to go about the planting till harvesting. All the methodologies were discussed over radios. We invited live question and answer sessions also, and we got a very good response on that platform also. Then while doing our agronomy activities, we did join hand with DAG Germany. They are a consortium of financial institution, Deutsche from Germany, which they are into development finance. They were so much convinced through our efforts in agronomy. They also wanted to join hands, and now the whole program, agronomy program, is partly funded by them. It's a share between Indorama and DEG funds that we invest in the upliftment of the farming community in Nigeria. So thank you. So this was a little description of all the initiative that we took over the last 5-6 years in operation. And we believe that by improving agriculture, we are improving the lives of the Nigerian farmers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avijit, for at least giving a glimpse of what we are doing. And yes, we are absolutely agreed that we are trying to do our bit. But the ultimate goal is not, if we look for achieving ultimate goal, we need a support, or we need something like everybody need to be on a platform or a same platform, and collaborative approach is going to ensure that achievement. So yes, we have a capability to produce whatever is required in this country. We can increase our fertilizer production capacity. However, we want to have a clear understanding that how we can ensure the soil health, also how we can ensure a long-term sustainable goal. So that's considering all those things, we are always want to be associated with every stakeholders. Like we are associated with the DEG also, that is a development agency. We are doing different research trials with the Nigerian institutions. So we are putting our effort and need a support from everybody who is working for the industry. So having said that, I like to invite Professor Tuniji Arokoyo, and pardon me if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly. So I invite him for sharing his thought on the agenda and understand about how we can take it further for a better or a long-term goal. Over to you, Professor Tuniji.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Let me just take your last word there, that everybody must come on board.
Yeah.
That is what I really want to emphasize. I'm sorry I do not have a prepared presentation, but I will talk on highlights that I think will be very interesting to all stakeholders here.
Yeah.
Number one, I'm not happy with the present situation of the agricultural development in Nigeria. It's not sustainable. We're not doing very well. We are not where we should be now. Without opening statements, I want to now go on. For me, the two high points of Nigeria's agricultural development are: one, the era of the World Bank supported ADPs. That was the high point of agricultural development in Nigeria. Next, ATA, the agricultural transformation of the last administration. For me, these are the high points of agricultural development in Nigeria. What is happening now? Those two high points certainly demonstrated what is possible. I was privileged to work under Dr. Adeshina, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture. Then I was a team leader for Agricultural Extension Transformation Agenda. And the takeaway for me from that one is, yes, we are always dreaming and making so much noise about Nigeria's agricultural potential. But my boss, Adeshina, used to tell us, you cannot eat potential if you do not harness it. And we have not properly harnessed this potential. So we should not just be talking about Nigeria's agricultural potential, dreaming, visioning, but how do you get there? The high points of ATA, Agricultural Transformation Agenda, was, which I saw in the last presentation, integrating production, processing, storage, marketing. In other words, ATA adopted the value chain approach from farm to fork. And unless we do that one and harmonize it properly, we will not do very well. We then move away from agriculture as development projects as such. Small things here and there. A donor comes with 500 million naira or whatever. He tells you, give me 5 local governments. You go there. The day the project ends, that's the end of the story. One thing additional tried very much as at that time was to try to harmonize these donor projects. And it should be in line with Nigeria's own development agenda, not what the donors are interested in. Yes, they have their own agenda, no doubt. But then why can't we mainstream it into our own? Another aspect of ACHA was moving away from agriculture as a way of life to now talking agribusiness. And this is where you people come in very strongly. Agribusiness, no matter the scale of the production of the farmer. For me, my major area is in farmer training, using the farmer field school approach. But while we were doing that, GIZ was also doing farmer business school. And I remember I used to tell the country project coordinators at that time, Mrs. Anne-Marie, yes, that's right. I said we do not have the luxury of time in Nigeria to do farmer field school first and then go and do farmer business school. That is why we arrived at farmer field and business school. We mainstream farmer business school into the regular FAO sponsored, originated farmer field schools. Go to any of the ADPs today, virtually dying, unfortunately. These were projects or institutions that gave us the high points of the ADPs, agricultural development, as at that era. There was money from the World Bank. Everything was moving well. But after the World Bank support, everything crumbled, unfortunately. So we are talking about PP, which our last presenter mentioned. Private sector participation in our agricultural development. The government cannot do it alone, and in fact, government has no business in business. Let them just give us the policy environment and guidelines, and we will do the needful. Another takeaway from ATA was the issue of the e-wallet, getting fertilizer to the last mile, distribution, and so on, and removing all the corruption. Government was bringing in, people were recycling and repassing and doing all kinds of things. Fertilizer was not getting to the farmers as at that time. But now, with the e-wallet that was introduced at that time, we saw the potential, it was harmonized, and we're getting results. Ask me now, what is the situation of e-wallet today? E-wallet, you could get this distribution of production inputs, including the advice to go with them using the e-wallet approach. Here is your fertilizer, and then in SMS or whatever, you can tell the farmer how to use it. Okay. Also, we also move to market orientation, not just producing to sell, but not producing and selling, but producing to sell. There's a world of difference. If you are producing to sell, you know there's already a market out there. Not just produce now and then you are looking for people who will buy from you. Produce to sell rather than produce and sell. There's a world of difference. So that orientation was also one takeaway from ATA. And of course, the deregulation of fertilizer and the seed sectors, which Indorama, as mentioned in the last presentation, took advantage of and doing very well in now with additional. Now, let me come down to Indorama and other fertilizer producers. And with respect to fertilizer use in our agricultural development, is key, is a commodity that is a must. But there is a but there. What is the but there? Look, fertilizer use, as mentioned, is still very low compared to the world average in Nigeria. So the potential is there for you, but we must harmonize, we must harness this potential so that it's not just visioning. How can we make the best out of it? My advice to Indorama is, one, availability, accessibility. It may be available, but not accessible for the farmers. What do I mean by accessible? Getting it to that last mile that everybody can have, all the farmers, small, medium, large, can access. Issue of affordability also. I know, yes, Indorama is there to make money and you are doing very well in that area, but then there must be this balancing act, making profit, and then your own corporate social responsibility also. You must also watch out. I deal with very small scale farmers. Packaging to really make it available for the farmers. Is 50 kg the only one that you can put? Why can't we have smaller parts of 25 or even 10, depending on what level you're at? This is part of accessibility and making it affordable for farmers. Let us be more friendly in terms of getting this your material out there. Now, challenges. You know, Nigeria, we have the good, the bad, and the ugly. The environmentalists, how are you going to address the challenges they are raising presently about environment? I care about the environment. We know what we can do with our environment, so we cannot ignore them. How do you do this balancing act? Organics are coming along. Are you interested in that area too? Is there any way we can have a mix of the two? And then, can you diversify also to have the straight, the mixed, and the regular ones that you are presently producing? These are issues to meet consumer demands while also addressing the world challenge of the environment, natural resource management. You are talking about soil health. My colleague, Professor Taffa, is a soil health doctor, so to say. Now, we must balance to make the best of everything for us. Well, Dr. Singh, agronomists are not really extension people. I'm sorry to say, but we have to be realistic. Why don't we have this PPP whereby your agronomists will work with the structures that are already in place, as we have seen in so many other projects? Come to the ADPs, even if they are dying. You have people there that you can work with, people who are not normally quote and unquote placed, so that I'm not misunderstood, who are not very busy now. You can engage them with a small topping allowance or whatever. They will do all your demonstrations for you to the best. Check out USAID Markets. USAID Markets never employed any extension agents. They were working with us. The ADPs, they will come and say, okay, we require so many number of extension agents. And they're already there, not really busy, because there's no allocation to these ADPs for them to really do the field work they are supposed to be doing. And the people we condemned that are no good, they produce the best of results for USAID markets. And I'm sure they are very proud of it. Why can't you just look at that structure and see how you can fit in and get the best for your company? Also, Sasakawa does not employ extension agents. They use the ADP staff. The structures are already there. And I'm sure we can have a very good working relationship, a good marriage between Indorama and our ADPs to get the best for you. Agronomists are good, yes, but they have their own specialty. Your demonstrations, for example, your farmer trainings, let them work with the extension agents that are in place. I know we are now moving towards private sector extension and advisory services delivery. How can we harmonize this to get the result? As the last presenter mentioned, we must look and perfect our PPP arrangements to get the best results. How are you supporting the extension services to get the best for your company? We cannot ignore that one. The approach now is even to use what we call community-based facilitators, farmer facilitators. In several states, like for example, where I'm involved in 7 states, we take the FFBS to the last phase where we have farmer-led, self-sustaining schools. I was privileged to have taken our master trainers in Nigeria in FFS to Kenya for a 2-week study tour to go and see self-sustaining farmer-led schools. So if the government says they have no money to employ extension agents, so be it. We have an alternative, using community-based farmers as facilitators and agents. They can be trained. They are not the same old conservative, the extension way before, you remember, conservative farmers who do not want to. No. That is the old extension philosophy. We moved away from that. And probably that's why we didn't achieve much as at that time. The farmers are partners. They know what is good for them. And I'm sure if you just try them, you will see the difference in terms of what you are trying to do now. And of course, all our farmer field and business schools are registered entities. We develop them to that level where you can have an apex organization that will do their own marketing and everything, and you eliminate all these terrible middlemen people and so on. They will do their own marketing from farm to fork. So farmer groups, farmer-based organizations, I agree and I accept they are still very weak, especially those who still go to government to quote and unquote beg for money. You will never have your independence and you can never make any progress. Friends of the AFAN, for example, because they are just up there and the real Nigerian farmers are still down here. So another area where you can be involved in is capacity building for farmer-based organizations. And you will be the best friend of the farmer. Let us see how we can work together. The Nigerian agricultural development, big potential, but we cannot eat potential. I'm sure we can do much better than we are presently doing. Now we've been fighting for a policy for agriculture. You will never see any written agricultural policy as such today. We are working in our own specific area. We've gotten the agricultural extension policy document, which was supported developed, by IFAD. We've gotten it to the, to the ministerial level. We thought by now it should have been even enacted into law. It was lost within the last, between the last minister and the present minister. But it has been dusted up and revised, ready to have, to go to FEC, where we hope we will get a Federal Executive Council bill to be sent to the National Assembly. So that, but for now, agricultural development in Nigeria is still agricultural development without policy, practice without policy. And that is not the best. You still have all this, everybody is still doing his own. That's why we have rejects from abroad. You export cowpea, you export fish, you export this, it's returned. No, it shouldn't be that situation. We can do much better than we are doing now. And I think Indorama has a major role to play in this, our vision. Let us harmonize the potential together and we can really make the difference in terms of food security, sustainable agricultural development in Nigeria. Thank you. Let me not take too much time. These are just my thoughts for Indorama and for Nigeria. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, I cannot see any ladies with us.
Yeah.
Indorama, we have to do some gender balancing.
Yes, I agree. Last session there was 2 or 3 females, so we are very sensitive on that. But somehow
Okay.
it is just coincident. It is nothing like it was something like planned move. So thank you,
very
Professor.
Good. Don't mind me.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Tunichi. And yeah, I'm really happy to hear from you. And after hearing your thought on that, okay, it should not be a potential harvesting potential, collaborative responsiveness, plus involving or engaging the existing infrastructure, like you are talking about the farmer school, business school. So more or less, if you see, we are heading towards that only. Okay. And apart from that, if I just want to highlight that what we are worried, or we are really proactive about your environment. So we are working for more efficient fertilizers, because urea is one of the most pollution causing fertilizer. So we are already in the process of developing like a more efficient fertilizer, like Nemo coated urea, because value added fertilizer. Next thing what we are looking for, that okay, the balanced nutrition is an important area where we should work. We are also working on something like supplying urea micronutrient customized urea. So we are going to quote as per the area and crop specific micronutrient. So all those, our bit what we are doing, yes, we are extending our support and collaboration, because last week only I was with the director agriculture farm input services, and we assured, our CEO assured in a last similar session, brainstorming session, that yes, we are happy to take up this extension agent capability building program. So we are doing all those things, and we are after your thought and ideas, we can say that yeah, we are heading towards really in a right direction. So thank you very much, and we will definitely further think on whatever the ideas you have given, whatever the thoughts are there. We are going to take care of that. I see that Sabiu has raised a hand. I'll just request to hold that till we just start our open discussion. So now I'll move to Mr. DK Singh to hear his experience of Indian fertilizer industry, because that is also important to learn from the people who have already experienced, and utilize that learning in our development. Because if we see, we are heading towards what India has already achieved, or Asian countries have achieved. So I'll request Mr. DK Singh to share his thought and experience of Indian fertilizer industry to give a value to Nigerian agriculture development initiative. And if he can share more on this value-added fertilizer, how they can help and support for developing agriculture, it will be much better. So over to Mr. D.K. Singh.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Praveen, for inviting me for this very important discussions that I think that should add value to the Nigerian agriculture and fertilizer industry. So good morning or good afternoon from India. This is good evening. So to everyone.
We are just entered into afternoon. We are two minutes in afternoon, 12:02.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. So good. I think this was good to hear from Abhijit, very vast thing about the Indorama fertilizers, how Indorama is keen there and how they are looking to develop the agri activities and fertilizer applications there in the country, working throughout with the farmers with the help of agronomist team and all. I think this is a very good structure that I can see from their presentation. Any country would need from private sector to help them out, because extension is a very integrated process where the fertilizer manufacturers should take head on and go directly to the customer, to the farmers, to educate them about the application efficiencies as well as the cropping technologies. If I come to the topic to Indian agriculture, so just I will brief the Indian fertilizer industry, then I will come to the value-added fertilizer. So I will be very precise because I think we are slightly behind our schedule. So I will try to be very crisp, and any questions in the brainstorming session, I will love to answer that. If you see, the Indian fertilizer industry is one of the largest fertilizer industry in the world. This ranks second in consumption and production of fertilizers next to this China. So having around 172 fertilizers plants and 31 urea plants, 19 DAP plants, there are 100 odd SSP plants and then some other fertilizer plants. So, and it's evolved, Indian agriculture or fertilizer industry has evolved over a period of time. And this way backs to the 1944 when the fertilizer pool was first formed for uniform distribution of fertilizers. Then after that, some pricing and distribution committees were formed where the distribution systems was involved. As Abhijit said that this is a fertilizer in a bulk. So handling of fertilizers is also very important to maintain the quality of fertilizers till the time this is applied to the field. So this also plays a very important role in improving its efficiency, because most of the fertilizers are hygroscopic in nature and they need a very good transportation and handling at all the points where this is being handled. So India as a fertilizer industry, it consumes around 29 million tons of fertilizer nutrients in terms of nutrients, and around 58 to close to 60 million tons of as a fertilizer material. And major fertilizer materials are used are urea, around 33 million tons, diammonium phosphate is around 10 million tons, other nitrogen NPK complex fertilizers are close to 10 million tons, and single super phosphate is around 4 million tons. Potassium chloride is around 3 million tons. So this is this is how the fertilizer industry, and it consumes around. If you see the consumption pattern of fertilizers, India has come a long way. So as a value addition to the crops, it requires around some specific NPK ratio consumptions, 4:2:1. But still, because if you, as you know, the Indian fertilizer industry is a highly regulated industry, where government is regulating from production up to the distribution, and even then the prices are also being controlled by the fertilizers to the very large extent. And for the urea fertilizer, this is almost 100% control from the by the government. So this way, though still the fertilizer industry being regulated, the Indian fertilizer operators have evolved themselves over a period of time, and they have stepped into adding value to the farmers, to the Indian fertilizer industry, and they have come a long way. So merely starting from, if you see fertilizer industry, how it evolved. So Indian fertilizer, the farmers started using first fertilizer was used in India was Chilean nitrate. And then the first plant was made for ammonium nitrate. And after that, just graduated to urea, some complex fertilizers. So this is again, the fertilizer industry distribution is also quite skewed. All those, the fertilizers plants are mostly in the southern and eastern part of India. Northern part of India do not have any phosphatic fertilizer facility because of those constraints that this raw material is still imported in India. So though in India is the largest consumer, largest producer of the fertilizers, second largest producer and consumer of fertilizers, still this is a net importer, because phosphatic fertilizers, India is net imported. Urea is still around 9 million tons urea is still being imported. Though some new facilities are coming up, then India may become self-sufficient in urea also in next 2 years' time. So, and maybe India become urea surplus. So coming to the fertilizer efficiency and value addition to the fertilizers, over a period of time, there has been many activities has been done to improve use efficiency of fertilizers, because fertilizer nutrient use efficiency varies from different micronutrients, somewhere around 2% to some other micronutrients, maybe 15 to 30%. Sorry, interruption. So sometimes those are efficiencies are not good because of reasons like the nutrient applied at some point of time is not a right time, or combination of nutrients are not there. So how the Indian fertilizer industry has come for these things. So they started way back doing some activities in value addition, improving the efficiency through application methods like urea super granule. So this was one of the activity that was taken if the urea granules are placement is done, because mainly the crops were sometimes crops or summer conditions like paddy crop or any other crops also. If you are placing urea at different locations, it lasts for a longer time because of volatility of nitrogen. There is a huge efficiency constant because of volatility of nutrient its nature. Second, sometimes nutrients get fixed because of the soil properties. Even Dr. Praveen was talking about soil health. Professor again also talked about soil health. So if the soil pH is not right, so those are the phosphatic fertilizers may get adhere to the different structures, hyperphosphate or hypophosphate, based on the pH of the soils, and that may impact efficiency of the phosphatic fertilizers. So those are the mobility in the plant, mobility in the soil, and the soil pH and soil reactions. Those are the barriers which play an important role to influence the efficiency of fertilizers. So that way, I talk that there has been one value addition that has been being talked about, the urea super granule placements. So, but again, this is a good model, but this band placement is still a technical issue and requires so that we do at this point of time there is no efficient machinery that can do. And if this can be done, I think this will be one value addition to the urea. That can be the simple urea can be briquetted and maybe go for the brand placement. Again, the product efficiencies are also improved. Like India, urea has been a most, I will say, in terms of abused fertilizer in the India, because of the being cheaper than the other fertilizers. As the government gives very high subsidy to the farmers for nitrogen fertilizers. So farmer has to pay around 5,360 rupees per ton for urea. However, farmer has to pay around 24,000 rupees per ton for phosphatic fertilizers. So there has been around 2-3 times the difference of the prices. And as the farmers' affordability was again discussed by Vijit. So affordability for the farmers in any country is like same. So again, because of those reasons, farmers may go for the high application of urea, and that way the NPK consumption ratio is also skewed in India, though this is improving over a period of time. So now this is around 7:3:1 NPK consumption ratio in India, and the huge efficiencies are urea efficiencies are now in India, though has been improved, but still if I see the Indian urea consumption is increasing. So 4 years back, 5 years back, when around 260, 290 million tons, 29 million tons, I will say, was the consumption around 5 years back. And today, India is consuming around 33 million tons. The last 2 years, this is constant. So 33 million tons. And this year again, India is going to plug there only, the 33 million tons consumption of urea. And companies has tried, and this has been initiated by many companies when they started improving the urea efficiency by inhibiting the denitrification activity in the soil by coating it with various products, and the trials were made for the sulfur coating, trials were made for the zinc coating, and trials were made for the neem coating, neem oil. So all of this, so government allowed all these coatings, but somehow being a regulated item, so the neem coating urea worked well for the industry as well as the farmers. So though the zinc coating and sulfur coating is also allowed, but cost efficiencies are not there. So companies are not producing in India, but still neem coating is being done now. So earlier when it started, government allowed only for 20%, and then looking at its efficiency and acceptance at the farmers levels. So then again, there has been a representation from the industry. So it was moved to the 50%, and now this is 100%. So in India, any urea fertilizers, whether this is produced in India or imported from anywhere else, when this is being bagged into 50 kg pack, so this is neem coated only. So all Indian fertilizer industry now they have to, so this has been a value addition in urea, and this is improving as the data shows that around 10 to 12%, or someone also says around 15%. There is huge efficiency because urea application is very critical, and mostly it goes in the top dressing. So in top dressing, if you are not placing below the soil, the top dressing, there are a high exposure to the environment, being hygroscopic in nature. So there are losses are very high. So this so neem coating is checking the losses there. Even then, there are some other value addition in other fertilizers also, like Avijit also talked about SSP, that in Uzbekistan you have acquired plants. So still there are some fortification for SSPs are also being done. Maybe the Indorama Haldia is doing there. So borated boron coating for the SSP. So that is another possibility of value addition. And as the boron improves the metabolic activity in the plant, also helps in improving the translocations. So this is also increasing. So these are the some particular one fertilizer efficiency, improving efficiency. But again, if you see, there are other prospects also which Indian industry is trying to add value to the fertilizers. So again, the one is that when we are talking about the value addition, so there are a lot of work is going on the slow release. So if fertilizers are slow released, its efficiency is going to improve drastically because the it will be available for the plants for the longer period of time. And so again, there is another efficiency. because there is a synergistic effect of various nutrients when applied in the soils. As the being agriculture scientists, mostly I think we are from agriculture background. So everyone knows that the principle of living, the least nutrient defines the productivity of crop. So if the soil is deficient in some nutrient, though the other nutrients are applied, may not uptake will not be that deficient. So that way, Indian industry came across with the customization of fertilizers. The erstwhile Tata Chemicals, from where Indorama acquired the phosphate fertilizers unit in West Bengal. So they were the pioneer in doing these customizations. I think Dr. Praveen was also part of that value-added journey in Indian fertilizer industry, where he worked very hard to develop various formulations, test it forward fields and everywhere. So he has played a very important role here also in value addition in fertilizer industry. Though these customizations, like the company like Tata Chemicals, even then the Indogol Fertilizers, Nagarjuna Fertilizers, there are three companies who ventured into this activity, and they developed some soil and crop soil fertility, mapping the soil fertility, and assessing the requirement of nutrients for the crop life cycle. And based on that, they tailor-made fertilizers, and this is called customized fertilizers. As you know, Indian fertilizer is a very regulated activity. So no fertilizers can be marketed in India unless this is endorsed in Fertilizer Control Order. That was implemented in 1973, way back, and again amended in 1995. So now it is called Fertilizer Control Order 1985. And this is being amended periodically for various things. So, and now the fertilizer industry is very sensitive. Even then the government is very sensitive, and they are taking up all the representations and the suggestions from the industry, and they are making a very good amendment in favor of industry. So that way, I think Indian agriculture is progressing, Indian fertilizer industry or Indian agriculture is progressing very well. If you see the Indian food grain production this time is going to touch a record high of 303 million tons, what our advanced estimates are coming up. And again, this value-added fertilizers have played a very, very, very good role in improving the farm productivity, as well as the not only the food grain production, the horticulture production in India has also crossed the food grain production. And this is because of the efficiency of value-added fertilizers. So again, when I was talking about this value addition of the product, individual products like neem-coated urea or boronage or some fortification of some fertilizers. So then again, second step in value addition in Indian industry is a combination of products, and this is the in bulk fertilizer segment I'm talking. But now this customization is very much prevalent in water soluble segment. So so where crop based formulations are now very popular. So now there are formulations value addition in there, because then so the apart from the product value addition, there is application value addition also. So how you can improve efficiency of fertilizers through applications. So like drilling of fertilizers is one way where you can improve the efficiency. So that is fertilizers are placed at the right place. And again, micro irrigation systems adoption. So that is also being focused, and government of India is trying to focus on micro irrigations. So now the campaign is being run by the government, more crop per drop. So this is another initiative, and around 6 million hectares has been brought under micro irrigations, and this project is going up very well. So here, what the value addition is that now, instead of just straight fertilizers, NPK, micronutrients, so combination of nutrients at various scheduling of those nutrients and providing to the crops at right time, right doses. I think this is again going to enhance the productivity, and this is the application efficiency or application value addition that I foresee that, and this is going to be a very important activity for Indian agriculture. So if I see the Indian agriculture or Indian fertilizer industry, in my experience around 26 years, I am involved with in Indian agriculture. So all the industry I have worked with, all industries, agrochemicals, crop protect, agrochemicals, fertilizers, seed. So I have handled all those things. And being in industry, I'm saying that there has been a lot of change in farmers' perception also. And because of those very good extension activities. So value addition in product is not only important, but also how efficiently you are communicating with the farmers. So like seeing is believing was talked by Avijit. So this will always remain a very important focus for the farmers, because as agriculture, I look at a very high risk industry for the farmers. If I take a farmer as entrepreneur, so for them, for that entrepreneur, agriculture is a very high risk industry because of three reasons. First is that the farmers is sowing his crop on a very open environment. So all the fertilizer production and everything is in a very controlled environment, but fertilizer application, crop production is in a very open environment. Second, there is a because crop is a sensitive thing, very live thing, and it has its own requirement, own timings. So if something is not, someone is not able to detect what kind of issue is with the crop or farmer, so there are no very good doctors for the crop, or doctors are there, but because of the vastness of the activity, so everyone cannot reach there on at right time. So then diagnosis and those kind of things are again put the agriculture at very high risk. Then again, the marketing. So this is also a very important segment, but because when the crop is harvested, because this is a seasonality, most of the crops are photothermosensitive, and they can grow in the particular kind of climate and environment. And when the large arrivals comes at particular point of time, so the prices crashes like anything. So these things are there with the farmers always being at risk. But as an industry, this is our responsibility to protect the farmers, what the best we can do. So improving, so again, all these things also put a very high investment at the farmers part. And affordability of farmers will remain challenge for the fertilizer industry, because most of the fertilizers are used at the time of planting of crop. And when farmer is going to plant a crop, he has to make a highest investment at that point of time. So because he has to irrigate, he has to plow his crop, he has to go for sowing for his crop, he has to buy all inputs. So every activities comes together. And that point of time, farmers do not have, may not have money. That would be true for Nigeria. That is true for India also. So this way, the hand holding. So not only the fertilizer industry, the credit industry also has a very important role in improving improving the agriculture scenario in any country and in India. So not, I'm just coming back to the topic for, so value addition, what I told. So these are the three ways I'm looking at value addition that Indian agriculture, Indian fertilizer industry has faced, and now they have been very efficient. Again, distribute. So those three value additions, I'm talking about product value additions, where I talked about urea, SSP, and those products. Then combination of products like customized fertilizers, then application, micro irrigation, and all. So along with this, India has also did a value addition in terms of distribution of fertilizers. At any point of time is very much regularized, and anyone can see the what kind of fertilizer is available in a particular district. Even then, that they can go up to the block level. Block level, if I say that this should be a surrounding of around 25 kilometer radius. So what are the fertilizers availability there? So distribution system of fertilizers has also been very efficiently tracked by government of India. and now all the fertilizer industries are following up. So these has been my experiences with the fertilizer industry and value addition to the crop. And fertilizer industry has played a very vital role in improving, in making India self-sufficient in food production. Now India is a surplus, and our export during the COVID period of India has increased compared to the last year. And at this point of time, we are trying to, we are just thinking how to handle the, we are going to have a very good Rabi harvest, and how we are going to handle this is again challenge for the government of India. So these are my thoughts. I thought it would be, I should share if it benefits to anyone. So any further questions, queries, I think I will be happy to respond. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I started my fertilizer industry career under Mr. DK Singh, and somehow I learned a lot from him how to handle the fertilizer. Now I handle that something like a people also. And also today, after listening all these, his thought and comment, that yeah, I also contributed a little bit. One, second, I feel like proud that we are going to have a surplus production and bumper production and record production. So that gives a little proud that being an Indian. Yes, but with that proud, I want to utilize those capabilities, skill, and support for the country where I am working, where I just want to really contribute for the development. So yes, really thoughtful things we got, like a very important thing, that NPK ratio. So I'm sure that all of us, the scientific community, is going to be agreeing to that. We need to ensure that 4:2:1 NPK ratio, which is a very, very something important part. And another thing he mentioned about the soil pH, and then the value-added fertilizers. Definitely we need to enhance the usability, or the moment we are enhancing the fertilizer use efficiency, indirectly we are contributing for the cost effectiveness and ensuring the affordability for our growers. So really happy to hear your thought, and we are going to incorporate that in our future actions. And definitely there will be some questions. So what we'll do, we'll just hold for that questions. Let hear we have in our Professor Tarafa for his thought process about what we should do for a Nigerian agriculture, and how we can as an industry contribute for specific tasks, that the value added fertilizer. So I request Professor Tarafa to just take over and share his thought process. Over to you, Professor Tarafa. So Professor, you can you hear me? Professor, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Previn. Sorry, I have some challenges with 3 different internet sources, but I hope the one I'm using now will cooperate for us to finish the discussion.
Definitely. If the intentions are good and positive, it is going to help, and everybody is going to support you. We are going to hear you.
Okay.
Good connectivity.
Okay, thank you, and good afternoon to everybody there. With respect to our experience in the scientific community, especially those of us that are in crop nutrition and working closely with the fertilizer industry, what we have experienced over the years is that there has been little coordinated effort in order to reach profitable fertilizer use and management in Nigeria, especially when it comes to the level of the farmers. Fertilizer as a nutrient source to crops should not just be used anyhow. There are some basic informations, some basic necessities that needs to be considered before a farmer or a user will decide to use fertilizer or not. And such informations are the responsibility of the government as well as the research community to give these enabling informations or enabling environment for the fertilizer industry as well as for the users of fertilizer products to thrive well and to make money from the use of the materials. Now, so many small projects, especially funded, externally funded project, has been done in Nigeria to generate some basic informations and to map out the direction in which fertilizer use in Nigeria can be done. But the buy-in from government has not been very encouraging, and the government itself too have not taken that responsibility to provide the enabling environment for the fertilizer and the scientific community to thrive very well in the fertilizer industry. Now, if I might start first by giving such enabling environment, for every person using fertilizer to make money from it, he needs soil information. And currently in Nigeria, we have very small information about our soils with respect to fertilizer use. And surveying of the Nigerian soils to provide this information is the responsibility of the government, because it's an enabling environment for both farmers as well as the fertilizer industry to thrive. We have not lost track, because just about 2 weeks ago, we attended a workshop on mapping, on soil survey and mapping of Nigerian soils. So we are coming on board. I'm hoping this will go very fast as to generate the required soil information that we will need for us scientific communities as well as the fertilizer industries to match our production of fertilizer blends as well as our recommendations to based on the survey informations that will be generated. So now I wait this one. For companies like Indorama and other fertilizer companies in Nigeria, I think quick thing that can be done is the approach that OCP at least did. OCP used some of its money to survey some parts of Kaduna and Niger State, especially the maize production belts, and they were able to get soil information. Based on that, they are working on the development of blends for some crops. And this is where we need to come together. The fertilizer industry, such as Indorama, will need the scientific community first to get information on the soils, to assist with the development of the blends, with the evaluation of the blends, and then these blends could be either site-specific. In this case, we look at the soil information and we develop the blends based on what the soil can supply and what need to be added to make up the requirement of the crop. Or we look for the crop-specific fertilizers. If you look at the scenario of what is happening now in Nigeria, especially with the PFI, it's only 2010 that is produced. So you use 2010 for all cereals, for all legumes, for all root crops. You know, this does not promote fertilizer use efficiency, you know, in our systems and across all ecological zones.
That is something like new challenges we are facing. This IT connectivity challenge we are facing.
To my duty, promote fertilizer use for farmers. So one other thing also that we need to consider is the issue of balanced fertilization. As you can see in the Nigerian context, especially the PFI, they only promote the use of NPK and does not consider the secondary element as well as the micronutrients. So you keep on using NPK year in, year out, and then you export the other micronutrients and the secondary nutrients from the soil without any addition, year in, year out. Definitely sure with the limitation of any of these secondary or micronutrients, you can't get your optimum yield from the crops. So both the fertilizer industry and the scientific community must work towards the development of balanced fertilization for crops. Now, in terms of our experience, we had a project which we call optimizing fertilizer recommendations in Africa, because one of the recommendation we are using now, especially in Nigeria, was developed more than 35 years ago, and it's still the same recommendation. The same soils that have been exhausted for 35 years is the same recommendation. The crop varieties have changed. Mostly high-yielding varieties have come in. It's the same recommendation. So you see, this doesn't match together. And that's why the farmer cannot get the required return for investment that he has on the fertilizers. So based on that, we start looking at what is in the soil. And when you look at what is in the soil, you can only get this through soil survey or small sampling of soils analysis of your plots, and then you get the nutrient status as well as the pH that determines the availability of these nutrients in the soil. Then the next thing that you need to get is, what is the crop that is grown? The crop is grown determines on the fertilizer, the formulations that is required. And this is a decision that the farmer or the producer have to take. After that, what is the crop requirement? If it is a root crop, what are its nutrient requirements? If it is cereals or legumes, what are their nutrient requirements? These are guidelines that first guides in the fertilizer use, as well as the type of nutrients that need to be acquired when you want to get a return for investment on any fertilizer material. By the time that these decisions are made, you also need to know from the soil information that you have gotten, what are the nutrients needed to be supplied to give the optimum yield of that particular crop. So without soil information, you see all these things, you are just doing what we call the black box approach, applying the nutrients, either the crop needs it or not, either you get a return on investment on that particular nutrient or not. It doesn't matter, because nobody considers money investment when it comes to the fertilizer use in most Nigerian production system. So whatever fertilizer material that you need to get, as we have heard also from the India experience, what is needed is an issue. What nutrient, not a blend now, what nutrient is needed to be applied, when, how to apply, and then how much of the nutrients you need to apply. And I want to give you an example based on our experience, that with several trials we have done on what we call nutrient omission trials in some locations, especially intensively cultivated rice producing areas in Nigeria. We noticed that in the rice production systems, because of constant use of NPK, year in, year out, there's an accumulation of K. And when we conduct what we call nutrient omission trial, where we remove potassium and only apply nitrogen and phosphorus, we found out that the yield we got on those plots were far, or if not equal to, the same plot that you have NPK. So in this case, there's enough potassium in the soil. And if a farmer is focusing on returns on his nutrients that he will buy from fertilizers, he doesn't have to spend money on K. He can just get a fertilizer, a urea and TSP. If he can get those two, combine them together, and he can provide his rice comfortably. Or he goes for DAP, and then he produces rice with it. For 2-3 years, he doesn't need potassium until the potassium level goes down. Then he will now invest money again in the procurement of NPK, now to supplement the K. So these are very interesting information that we got from our trials. And we have followed this up with trials on rice, where we applied DAP without K. And it was wonderful, successfully, very good production from those fields. But it takes a lot for the farmer to have the knowledge of what I'm talking about, because he doesn't know. And if you go to the market now too, you will not find DAP, very common in Nigeria, where you find urea and the NPK. So farmers doesn't know. So after that experiments and trials that we have gone, we also came and had a project, what is called the Optimizing Fertilizer Recommendation in Africa. And this one, we worked specifically with straight fertilizers. Because in the advanced world, the issue of blend is not common. The issue of blend, if I might say, is more common in developing countries. But in advanced countries where they have facilities to analyze their soils, they go for nutrients. So if you have enough phosphorus and potassium in your soil, why should you buy P and K? You just look for your urea, which is very common here with you, especially in Indorama. Buy your urea and apply. The soil has the potential to give you your phosphorus and potassium. And you produce your crop at less cost, spending only money on the most essential nutrient. And then the second level of the findings of this is you look at the 3 nutrients. If you take the response curve for that particular location, out of the 3 major nutrients, M, P, and K, if you like, you go to the micronutrients, which is the most essential nutrient, without it, which your yield goes down to 0. If you have money to buy any fertilizer nutrient, then it should be that fertilizer that without it, you are going to get 0 yield. And then you now move, when you have enough money to buy the second nutrient, then you can add, if it's phosphorus, you can buy phosphorus. If it is potassium, you can buy potassium. We had that response curve for cassava, and we found out that the most important nutrient for cassava as a root crop is nitrogen. After nitrogen is potassium. So where is the blend now in Nigeria that have only potassium, nitrogen and potassium? There is none. So this is where I said there's a lot of missing gaps between the government policy, the fertilizer industry, and the scientific communities. The scientific communities are supposed to make the research, advise the government, and then the government gives the enabling platform for the fertilizer industry to thrive. So from this optimizing fertilizer, we even wrote policy advocacy paper positions and submitted to the government that the government should liberalize the fertilizer industry in such a way that all the primary fertilizer nutrients, N, P, and K, should be available in their single forms in the market, so that a farmer will now know which nutrient is more essential, and you should be able to buy that nutrient. You shouldn't be forced to buy NPK based on the result of the analysis of his soils. And he can produce crops successfully at a lesser cost because he is just procuring the most limited nutrients for him that can limit his crop production. So if we go like this, looking at either the nutrients based on the soil analysis or based on the crop requirements. Now, I'm running one project that is funded by by Agra, and the project is now targeting the production of crop-specific blends. Just to come in to bridge the gap of using the 2010 all over the country and for all crops in Nigeria. So the project is based in 2 states, Niger and Kaduna. We started last year, and we have 2019. We also did it in 2020. Now we have gotten results for 2 years, and we are coming out with the recommended blends for maize, rice, and soybean in the 2 states. So I think this is the area we want the fertilizer industry to come in. By the time that this, we have submitted our report, FEPSAN, which is the umbrella body for all the fertilizer industry in Nigeria, is part of this work. The government is part of this work. Then the ministries of agriculture in Niger and Kaduna say they are part of it. So it's a group of stakeholders that in such a way that whatsoever is decided is acceptable and is implementable, because it's not a work that is done only by us in the research institute. It's not a work only by a particular fertilizer company, no, but it's a group of stakeholders that this is together with the farmers that the fertilizers were evaluated on their field. So with this, we can now start blending soybean-specific fertilizers, rice-specific blends, as well as maize-specific blends in the 2 states. So this is where the fertilizer industry want to key in. Since FEPSAN is there, we believe that the results will be shared with FEPSAN, and once FEPSAN is there, then all the fertilizer industry will also be there. I also want to mention the issue of the urea sulfur granules, which has been introduced in this country. I participated in the study tour to Bangladesh to look at this technology, and when we came to Nigeria, we deployed it to various states. And for the slow release of the nitrogen in the urea sulfur granules, it has really improved the yield of rice in all 10 states where I know we have participated directly with IFDC to deploy this technology, knowing fully well that nitrogen is one of the most essential nutrients for rice production, but yet is a nutrient again that get lost very fast in the rice production systems. And with the issue of environmental impact, the issue of smallholder farmers not getting enough money to buy the required fertilizers, the urea super granules, and the coated, sulfur-coated urea, which the Indian experience informed us, they are very good approaches that we can do to improve the fertilizer use in this country. So I would like to probably conclude by saying that Indorama being in Nigeria now has high potential to really add value to the fertilizer industry in Nigeria. But if Indorama can go to the point of if Indorama can go to the point of producing high analysis fertilizers, especially with respect to wet blending, I think that's a place that it can receive acceptability in the Nigerian system. For you to produce high analysis fertilizers, if you do the dry bulk blending, it will not mix very well. The combination cannot go in very well. But for you to do high-grade analysis of fertilizers, then wet blending, you can increase your level of nitrogen and put in the appropriate level of P and K. But for dry bulk blending, it might not be feasible for you to have this type of blends. So it's a good thing that Indorama is putting this group together to have an open discussion. But as I said, the Nigerian soil is very diverse. Nigeria as a country is very big. And when we have enough soil information and we start blending for appropriate locations, targeting appropriate crops, then it will give the company an additional opportunity to put special products into the Nigerian market. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Tarafa. Yeah, absolutely agree. The thought process, what you were sharing, that without knowing nutrient status of a soil, fertilizer application is just something like dumping your money. So hard-earned money by the farmer. That is the one. Definitely, we are also of the same opinion, and with that thought process, we are in the process of establishing our own wet chemistry lab. So our first lab is in installation stage. So maybe by July or August, we'll make it operational. And the plan is that only create soil fertility maps. And about your wet blending, it's really a good idea that yes, it is not only going to enhance or improve the means capability of adding your nutrient, it will also help in enhancing the quality of blended fertilizer. So wet blending is really it required a little higher investment capex, but the product come out of this is always of a superior quality than what the physical blenders are doing. So it is really a good discussion. I just want to highlight one or two more points, and then floor will be open for a discussion, so other participants can just raise their thought process. I just means everybody is aware about this fertilizer policy introduced in Nigeria, and they have they set a process of developing a new product. So yeah, it is good that regulation should be there, but my opinion is in that new product development process, there should be two categories. One category is something absolutely new product, innovative product, which can means go through with all those trial testing of 2 seasons, and then only after having a positive result, they should go out for a marketing. However, the value-added fertilizers and those fertilizers which are those already well tested, well accepted in other part of the globe, they should be put in a category of a value-added fertilizers, and their release pattern, their releasing to market should be different than absolutely new products. So maybe they can, based on the scientific community recommendation, that should get a fast way for launching in market. Second, we are also means in favor, the government need to think on, and I want to hear from other participants also, these value-added fertilizers as well as micronutrient blend or high efficiency fertilizers, they need to be promoted from the government, because it is not only going to help the farmer as well as it is going to help the government also. If suppose the total fertilizer requirement goes down because of a 10% efficiency, somehow it is going to add value to the government. So in my opinion, and I like to hear from others also, that government must do some promotion or just promote the use of these type of value-added fertilizers. So maybe they can come up with some subsidy scheme for initial days, and then the moment these farmers will realize the value, they will definitely be happy to invest more. So with those thought process, I'll just thank you to all the speakers and open this floor for the discussion. So whoever wants to share his thought process, they can raise a hand, and then he can speak. Yeah, I can see the Vincent is raising in a hand in the camera. So go ahead, Vincent. Hello. Yeah, Dr. Vincent. Hello.
They have said that is one thing that is so germane that I believe is also actually is lacking. We'll be doing things pocket here, pocket there, as Professor Arokoyo said, maybe some pilot projects, but now we need to have a comprehensive policy, but the policy has to take into cognizance research for development. TAFA has given us a kind of some background, which I'm comfortable with. And then I want to read last upper week, the minister said something at a project that is going to unfold. And let me read a point. The focus of the ministry is the promotion of site-specific fertilizer application techniques and blending of crop-specific inorganic fertilizer materials. Detailed soil survey and soil fertility maps will be required to actualize this. So it means that we're actually on the right track, but there's a note of caution. And the caution is, it is better to take Nigeria's space one at a time than trying to open up the whole space at a go. So I would suggest, if Indorama, I think you are one of the global leaders in urea production. Now, can we look at cereals that need a lot of nitrogen? Then can we also look at some root and tuber crops? Then we can look at a few legumes. So when you put this in proper perspective, then we are going to have a comprehensive site-specific or specialty fertilizer developed for those communities, for those commodities, either for cereals or for legumes that we need just a little quantity, and for heavy feeders like the root and tuber crops. That's the first one. Then the other one, as we are talking about the policy and also the fertilizer formulation and development, I think Professor Arokoyo made a statement that I want to reiterate. We need advocacy in the area of fertilizer research and policy. This advocacy is going to come both from the fertilizer blenders and like Indorama and other people, and this needs to actually be taken to the National Assembly, both the legislation and also a lot of high-level government officials. It is very important, because if you blend the fertilizers and there's no advocacy and policy for it, then it's like we're going to come back to square one. Then the other one is, I think we need to do a lot of capacity building and strengthening of the various actors after they have been identified through mapping. I know that President Arokoyo was talking about extension, all those things, but in the innovation platform process, all the various actors, the farmers, the researchers, the policymakers, and also the fertilizer blenders and companies need to come together as a stakeholder. Then from that, there's going to be a lot of capacity building and strengthening, and also for the people that be on the field. Then I think we also need to have a lot of knowledge and information sharing and exchange. It's very important. So that Indorama is not doing one thing, other companies are doing. When we come together, we are see where the missing gaps are, and we look at the competitive advantage of Indorama. Then you can also look at the market from that angle. And the other one is partnership. Very, very germane. There's no way this thing can be done without partnership from research institutions, from physics scientists, from the social scientists, and all the various actors. And finally, that I'm in Kaduna, where we are working on another project. We're trying to develop some specific fertilizer for wheat funded by another donor. So we need to take cognizance of one thing. If the fertilizer are available to the farmers at what cost, then I think we need to also begin to now to think about fertilizer that when you talk about maize, for example, if the current yield is 4 tons per hectare, and you want to take the farmer to 8 tons or 10 tons, I'm not just talking about the increase in yield alone. What is going to be the effect on the farmer's socio-economic process and livelihood? So we need to look at the social component, and also, is there going to be any negative environmental impact or effect of this? So those are the things I have for now. let me allow other people to speak, but there are still some other issues I want to raise and question for the speaker when I have another opportunity at this moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent. It is really something provoking thought, and it's in a right direction. Crop and site specific fertilizer, and yeah, we would like to just associate and just understand that what the work is going on under your supervision. That's one thing. And second, this our Dr. TT will get in touch with you, getting more detail about this crop specific fertilizers. So yeah, it's a good way of just something taking this whole initiative of ensuring the proper development in a right direction. So that's really appreciated. Yeah. So I would like to hear from other participants if there is any suggestion or any thought or any question from the speakers. So yeah, the floor is yours. I can see even this is something like the traditional way of showing the hand. Yeah, Muhammad. Uh, I can see. Yeah, Muhammad Yeshua. Go ahead. You have to unmute yourself, I guess.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon all.
Very good afternoon. Yeah.
Yes, the presentation actually is quite interesting. We rub minds on important areas, particularly the first presentation by Dr. Adbid shows that he has done a lot of work in understanding the agricultural systems in Nigeria. Most of the issues he raised, generally speaking, some of us who have been working in the field, nothing but the truth, especially where I talk about the issue of production, processing, inputs, marketing, and the rest. Actually, the government, we have been partnering with the government, being government employees. We have been doing our best in the area of reducing hazardous losses in fruit and vegetable. And the presentation, Abukoyo, a very interesting one, is a Roman professor. We know him for long, and he's still alive and doing well. The issue of this disseminating information through community-based advisors is a very good approach. I'm sure some countries have done that, and they have reached a high level of development. So the government is going to take that one as an aspect of disseminating the information through their own an outsider. It would be better if somebody within the community is being harnessed to try to disseminate the necessary technologies. Some countries have done that, and we are doing the same thing with the president of our elder statesman, Professor Okoyo. I'm sure we are going to do a lot. The one which is more interesting to me, the area of this crop specific blend by Professor Karma. See, we have been discussing this with farmers anytime we have farmers field day. We used to complain seriously on why a farmer must buy MPK. Why must you have to buy a fertilizer that does not contain particulars? But what we used to tell them is one thing, that we are yet to have the necessary data concerning our soils, which when you know what you have in your soil analysis has been carried out, soil testing has been done, you know what and what you need, what and what you don't need. So with this, I'm sure we are going to headway. So the partnership being brought by Indorama is a very interesting one. We have gone a long way in disseminating information. We have been having trials with Indorama since 2016, and it has helped a lot with the farmers, with our students working together, bringing in the new technologies. The trials we are conducting have significantly done a lot in trying to disseminate the necessary information. So Indorama stand to be making such contributions, and most of us, I'm sure, we are ready to partner with Indorama in various levels, so that we jointly achieve the necessary objectives of disseminating information, and the corporate responsibilities taken by Indorama is something that is highly commendable. We are seeing it for the first time in Nigeria. Most industries that are in Nigeria, even those that have agricultural attachments, have not been doing what Indorama has been doing for the past 6 to 7 years. This is my own experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Yeah, we should, at this juncture, we should not forget the contribution of our colleague, Dr. Balbi. He has initiated all these initiatives and just something like he's extending all those good work on the ground. So we should, he's among us, he's present here, so we should not forget his contribution, and somehow he's the bridge between everybody here. Yeah, Dr. Sunaji, you want to say something?
Look,
Yeah, Dr. Sunaji, you go ahead.
okay. The issues raised by Dr. Vincent is shown a lot of the challenges we are having in agricultural development. I want to focus on one: capacity building at all levels. Capacity building comes with a cost. Who is to bear that cost? I want us all to just brainstorm about this one. The last mile is a farmer who is supposed to use his fertilizer. Who bears the cost for training him? When the public extension service is at the level at which it is now? Who bears the cost?
See, up to some extent, we are ready to bear, and even we are spending good amount of money on doing that. And in the last session itself, our CEO committed that, okay, we are happy to take a challenge of building a capability of extension agents also. That is being suggested by our director, Farm Input Services. So yeah, up to some extent, I'm just specifically mentioning with the bold underline,
okay.
Some extent.
This is the reason why we all need to work together.
Absolutely.
The extension system, the private sector, and so on. But like Dr. Adura Migba pointed out also, we have this challenge of policy. What do we do about it? I have been in the sector fighting about policy for so long. And you just wonder, these people who make so much noise in the National Assembly about agriculture, not putting their money where their mouth is. It's just it's so sad. If you don't have it, we have a situation in our hands now, practice without policy. So anything goes, everybody does whatever he wants. The more reason why we all still need to be committed to working together. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Without
Dr. President, can I come in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you, Dr. President.
Yeah.
You see, the issue to me sometimes is, I don't know how sincere the fertilizer industry players are working together. Sometimes you don't seem to synergize and operate very well under FEPSAN. Everybody will like sometimes to get things for himself. But I think certain informations, if you come together as FEPSAN to explore, like to get either informations on soil system of particular state or of a particular crop, and you work together as FEPSAN, to me, it will be a little more cheaper for you people as a group, because it will be a contribution for everybody. And then whatsoever result that is obtained, let's say maybe a blend has been recommended for either cassava, then every other FEPSAN member can blend that, make that blend and also market. So sometimes the investment for generating information, it should not be done by only one of a fertilizer company. But if you can come together as FEPSAN, to me, that would be more cheaper, and it will be more acceptable, because all the fertilizer industry players will be willing to get that result. And then after the result is out, all of you will be benefiting from that particular information. Then, but however, I'm not saying each company should not continue to do what they are doing, but for scale, to do something at scale, I think you need to come together as members of FEPSAN, and you can do this if you can reach that agreement. Then with respect to capacities, yeah, I want to say here that to a certain extent, the government is not doing what it is expected to do. If the government have agreed that, yes, we want to produce a blend, or we want to have soil information for us to enable site-specific fertilizer blends, then the research institutes are there, all in the 6 agroecological zones. In all these research institutes, there are soil scientists, there are agronomists. It's just to give them an instruction. We are paying you salary. Take this money, do this work, and give us the result, or give out the work if you want to any person that you want, any group that can do this work, and let the agronomists and this makes their input. So it's just synergy. But many of our research institutes, they don't seem to have a focused assignment which the government will hold them responsible to deliver. You see, so it's in the absence of this that individuals like companies like you in the fertilizer industry are putting their money to do those things. But I think if the government have understood the problems that we have with the fertilizer industry and want to create an enabling environment, they are supposed to give responsibility and expect the institutes which they pay their salaries to deliver those responsibilities for them. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. This approach is something one of the most optimal and the best way of doing that. Yeah, we are open to take this discussion further. However, everything depends for corporates is definitely we are here for the means giving something, because we are earning from here, so we are here for taking everybody along. So yeah, it's a good thought, and maybe Dr. TT or Balbir will be in touch with you about that. So yes, if anybody more want to contribute, yeah, Dr. Vincent, I think this is going to be the last one. Then we'll just conclude this session because we are already on verge of concluding that. Yeah, Dr. Vincent, go ahead. You have to unmute yourself, Dr. Vincent.
Okay, I hope you are hearing me now.
Now, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're just talking again. I am thinking of something that I think will be of benefit, not only to Indorama, to all the players. I am looking at us having what we call a specialty fertilizer development strategy. And what I'm going to discuss in the next 1 minute or 1.5 minutes is, I'm looking at us having what we call a conceptual framework for fertilizer development strategy. And the first agenda under that framework should be all the implementing institutions and stakeholders should show a lot of strong commitment. So you have to look at actors mapping. That's over to you, Dr. Gani, you are there in the, you can go further from there. And the second one is, which Tafa has touched about briefly, is for us, for all the research institutions and everybody to work together, there will be a clear-cut research for development agenda for the fertilizer strategy. Then after that one, what do we want to do in the area of promotion and dissemination? That is why the extension component is very germane and very important. And finally, what is our plan for scaling up and sustainability? I think I have to stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a good idea, and we are always available for any such idea. So yes, it is really fruitful and really a good discussion for the agenda. We all are working for the development of in Nigerian agriculture. So yes, this is just an initiation. This is just a one step. We are moving towards what's the bigger objective of we all are here. So with those thoughts, I'll just hand over platform to our marketing head, Surender SK. So he for his vote of thanks to everybody, because it's really important, and I really appreciate the time from everybody who has just participated for this discussion. So over to Surendra. Hey, you have to unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot for giving time for this very important this brainstorming session. Particularly thanks to Professor Tunji, Professor Tarfa, Mr. Dilip, and Avijit for very nice presentations during their their elaboration. In fact, we discussed a lot. We touched on the potentiality of the Nigeria. We also discussed about the challenges we are facing for the development of Nigerian agriculture. And in fact, we cover a lot of things, and we realize that really we are far behind. If you talk about the Nigerian agriculture, we are far behind. I was just comparing the Nigerian agriculture towards the Indian agriculture. If you see the India agriculture development takes a very long time. In fact, if you count, it has taken about 60 years to come on that positions. In India, in fact, if you just recall, I'm recalling it, in 1960, there is green revolution came in India. So we are on that stage. I always compare Nigeria to India because there are a lot of similarity in terms of the climate, in terms of the diversifications. There are so many common things in the India and the Nigeria. So, but it is not only possible for any country that only one component of the only fertilizer, through only fertilizer we can grow, or we can grow the entire. Like in green revolution in India, if you see the component, basic component like the use of high yielding varieties of crops, various crop seeds, particularly the rice and wheat, and then fertilizer, the other inputs, the farm mechanization, agriculture system, the farm, the holding patterns, the rural credits. There are various components, and in fact, we are discussing here also all these things we are discussing. So there are a lot of scope in Nigeria to work, and I'm very much agree and convinced Professor Tunji remark that potential is huge, but where we are. But we are, as a corporate organization, we are trying our efforts, we are making our efforts to bring the Nigeria to a upper level, so that we can compare the Nigeria to the developing country or developed countries. So there is huge scope, there is no doubt about it. As far as the value-added product is concerned, or value-added fertilizer is concerned, really, I always mention that Nigerian farmers, they only know about the urea and NPK. I think Professor Tarfa mentioned that only urea and NPK. There are so many other fertilizers which need, in fact, the need of the Nigerian farmers to use those value-added fertilizers. Maybe the coated fertilizer, it may be the micronutrient fertilizer, maybe the high analysis fertilizers. So there are a lot of scopes. I think this kind of brainstorming session with these eminent scientists, professors, professionals is required, and we need to make a pressure, we can say, or to the government, and to change the policy, or to bring all this in a proper framework, so that government should also realize that because without all these things we can't grow in the agriculture sectors. So I'm very much happy and very much thankful to all the professors, scientists, professionals, and all those, and particularly Dr. Praveen, that who tried his best effort to organize such kind of training sessions, so that at least at one platform we all sit together, talk on the same wavelength, and try to boost the Nigerian economy through the agriculture development. Thanks everyone once again.
That's great. So with those words, I just want to put one more thing, one idea. Maybe I'll ask our team member to create a WhatsApp group including everybody who is here or from the previous such discussion. So it is going to be a good platform, bringing everybody on a same WhatsApp group, so we can share the thoughts and whatever we are doing. So I'll ask Dr. Titi Lope to coordinate that, and with the permission of everybody, include those who are not interested. So we will just something like, we don't want to disturb anybody. Whoever is want to give their consent, we make a group, and this group we can expand for making it a really a good contribution for in Nigerian agriculture development. So with that thought, thank you very much once again. And we will again organize such event in future also, maybe next month. Every month we are going to have this type of a virtual interaction. So thanks to COVID also, COVID has taught us a lesson and enable us to connect very quickly and very far. So thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend, and sorry for encroaching some of your time during this weekend. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.